Welcome to Frank Speaks, where we explore top stories and bizarre events around the world, critical moments in our world history. Today, we are honoring the influential African leaders of the 20th century who fought for independence, equality and justice, from Nelson Mandela to Kwame Nkrumah and a host of others. These individuals left an incredible mark on African history. Let's delve into their stories and be inspired by their legacies. Often overlooked in the realms of geopolitics, the African continent has nevertheless played an important part of the political process of the world during the 20th century. As hub for colonial and decolonial practice, Africa has acted as an experiment table for many ideas, some of which have succeeded and some have failed dismally. It has also been a battleground of ideologies since the end of the World War II, and many proxy wars were fought over the continent as the United States and Soviet Union tried to gain dominance. Among all the turmoils, African leaders emerged who would shape their respective countries for good or for ill. Here are 5 of the most important African leaders of the 20th century. First on the list is Nelson Mandela, perhaps the most well-known of all leaders to emerge from Africa. Nelson Mandela is an icon of struggle, emancipation, peace and forgiveness. Born in 1918 in a region in South Africa, in the 1940s, he joined the African National Congress and became involved in resistance against the apartheid policies of the South African white minority government. Nelson Mandela argued for the creation of an arm wing of the ANC. He spent time in and out of courts, but as a defendant rather than a lawyer. He was found guilty of comprising to overthrow the government, sentenced to life in prison. While in prison, Nelson Mandela finished his studies through the correspondence and changed his outlook on life. He was still committed to black rule in South Africa, but he became a pacifist and saw that apartheid had turned whites into cruel people, and as such had robbed them of their humanity as they had robbed black people of their dignity. Mandela argued for complete equality and suppression of the need for revenge. By the late 80s, it became clear that apartheid was not longer viable, and the South African government under FW realized that handing power over to black people was the only way to avoid a civil war. With assurance from Nelson Mandela that black people would not seek revenge, Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and became president in 1994 after the first fully democratic election. His tenure as president from 1994 to 1999 was marked by reconciliation. Huge efforts were put into bringing the racial groups together and promoting South Africa as a device, yet inclusive country that guaranteed freedom and human rights for all people, regardless of race or circumstance. Nelson Mandela, along with others, shared the Nobel Prize in 1993. In 1995, South Africa hosted the Rugby World Cup, and Nelson Mandela used this opportunity as a rallying cry for all South Africans. The competition was eventually won by South Africa, and for a brief moment, all of South Africa stood united. After his presidency, Nelson Mandela largely retired from public life and died on December 5th of 2012 at the age of 95. Next is Kwame Nkrumah. Born in 1909 and educated in the United States, Kwame Nkrumah campaigned tirelessly for the independence of the Gold Coast from Britain. He was inspired by Marx as well as the black American leader Marcus. In 1944, he returned to the Gold Coast and became secretary of the United Gold Coast Convention. He became increasingly radicalized in terms of seeking independence from Britain and formed the Convention People's Party, which organized a non-violent protest and mass action demanding immediate independence. Nkrumah was imprisoned but later released when it became clear the Convention People's Party was capable of causing serious problems for the British. Nkrumah was elected Prime Minister of the Gold Coast in 1952. In 1957, the Gold Coast and the British Togoland were fused as Ghana, and the country was given full independence. Nkrumah immediately authorized imprisonment without trial, and it was clear that Kwame Nkrumah would be an authoritarian leader. Nevertheless, his attention to build infrastructure won him much support. In 1960, Ghana became a republic, and Nkrumah became its president. He campaigned tirelessly on envisioning a United States of Africa as the outcome of his struggles. He was more focused with Pan-Africanism than running his own country. And Ghana became marred in economic woes stemming from ruinous projects. Nevertheless, Nkrumah designated himself president for life, and Ghana became a one-party state. The country became corrupt. While self-interest politicians running the country, while Nkrumah retired from public life after an assassination attempt in 1962. In 1966, while visiting China, Ghana was seized by the military, and Nkrumah went into exile, eventually dying of cancer in 1972. Kwame Nkrumah's anti-colonial stance and fight for independence won him such fame and support, and he is remembered today as an important African leader who was a voice of Pan-Africanism across the continent. Thomas Sankara, next on the list. Thomas Sankara, he was born in 1949 in Upper Volta, now Burkina Faso, and despite his parents' wishes that he join the priesthood, he opted for a military career. Earlier in his career, he was exposed to popular uprising, leftist ideology, and the brutality of war, fighting as a soldier in Mali. Sankara was a charismatic man who was known for his integrity. He held protests high up in the government, but these attributes marked him as dangerous for his political opponents. A one-time president had him arrested, but Sankara was broken out of jail and installed as president of Burkina Faso in 1983. During his short-term reign as president, he implemented many successful policies under a socialist framework, focusing on equality, education, and ecological preservation. He improved healthcare, greatly reducing infant mortality. He empowered women and increased access to education. To combat desertification, he planted 10 million trees. Despite his overwhelming success, he drew criticism from the conservative sectors of the country, which did not like his progressive reform and anti-imperialist stance. In 1987, Thomas Sankara was assassinated in a plot involving France, the CIA, and a one-time former president who took over the government and ruled until his resignation in 2014, whereupon he fled the country. In 2021, a tribunal tried the president in absentee along with his accomplice and found him guilty of murder, sentencing him to life imprisonment. Thomas Sankara was one of the greatest African leaders, but like many revolutionaries, his life was cut short, killed at the age of 37. Idi Amin of Uganda up next. From 1971 to 1979, Idi Amin Dada ruled over Uganda in what was particularly brutal chapter in the country's history. Born in 1925 or 1924, Idi Amin was a member of the Kakwa ethnic group, a small minority in Uganda's north. At a young age, he joined the King's African Rifles of the British Colonial Army and worked as a cook. He served the British colonial forces during the Mau Mau Rebellion in Kenya from 1952 to 1956. Idi Amin rose through the ranks, and by the time Uganda was granted independence in 1962, he was one of the few Africans to have achieved the ranks of officer. Amin became friends with the new Prime Minister and President Milton Obote, and the new African leader granted Amin the office of Chief of the Air Force as well as the Army. Over the next few years, however, the two men had a fallout. Idi Amin led a military coup and seized power in 1971. For the next 8 years, Idi Amin's rule was marred by intense nationalism. He expelled Asians from his country and persecuted certain tribes within Uganda. The death toll from his rule is thought to be in the region of 300,000 people. In 1978, he invaded Tanzania, and the following year, his rule came to an end. When the Tanzanians stormed the Ugandan capital of Kampala, Idi Amin fled the country and lived in Saudi Arabia until his death in 2003. Next is Robert Mugabe, known by many as the man Zambia to freedom, as the man who led Zimbabwe to freedom and independence from the white minority government under Ian Smith. Robert Mugabe is also known for his brutal authoritarian style of governance, which gained much political attention from dictators of his region. Born in 1924, Robert Gabriel Mugabe studied in South African University before moving to Ghana, where he worked as a teacher. He returned to Zimbabwe in 1960 and in the following years established the Zimbabwean African National Union, ZANU. From 1964 to 1974, he was imprisoned, and during this time, he led a party coup and took full control of ZANU. From 1964 to 1979, Rhodesia was in a civil war as the white minority sought to hold onto its power against the black majority, which was waging in guerrilla war against their colonial rulers. Robert Gabriel Mugabe was released from prison in 1974 and joined the fight. The war ended in 1979, and Robert Mugabe won a landslide victory at the head of the ZANU-PF party. During the first years of his administration, he made a great strides in reconciliation, forming coalitions between the Shona and Ndebele people, importantly granting safety to the white farmers on whom the economy of Zimbabwe relied. These concessions and attempts at peace did not last. By the end of the decade, amid an economic crisis, he had established Zimbabwe as a one-party state. Elections were held, but were fraught with violence and intimidation. As the year wore on, opposition grew, the Zimbabwe economy continued to fall, and by 1999, the movement for democratic change was created under the leadership of Morgan. In the 2000 election, the MDC won about half the seats in parliament, but ZANU-PF party held on to power. During this time, people calling themselves war veterans used violence to demand land reform. Many of them were far too young to have fought in the war, but nevertheless, their actions led to a mass exodus of white farmers from the country, plunging Zimbabwe into an economic crisis with severe food shortages. This was made worse by Mugabe passing reforms to allow for the confiscation of white-owned land. More than half the farmers left Zimbabwe. The country continued its downward spiral, with inflation hitting 100,000%. Rigged elections kept Mugabe in power despite his failing health and mental state. Eventually in 2017, he was ousted in a military coup. Emmerson Mnangagwa took the reins of the presidency. Robert Mugabe died in 2019 at the age of 95. Of course, there are many more African leaders that deserve to be mentioned, such as Patrice Lumumba, Haile Selassie, and Muammar Gaddafi, to name a few. Africa is a big continent, and a number of influential African leaders in legion. Many of them were brutal dictators, while some others were beneficial dictators. There were emperors and kings, capitalists and Marxists, white and minority rulers, and revolutionaries. Africa has produced some incredibly interesting figures that have led the countries through turmoils and a developing continent. Thank you so much for watching. The story of these influential African leaders reminds us of the power of courage, determination, and vision. Let's continue to celebrate and learn from the legacies and work towards a brighter future for Africa and the world at large. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content exploring the rich history and culture of the world. Thank you so much for watching.